Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am going to share with you a library sale haul. This is the first library sale I've ever been to, and so I thought that it would be fun to take you guys along. I'm going to insert some footage here of the day that I went to the sale and then come back and show you what I found. So today I'm going to my first library book sale, so I thought I'd take you guys along and see what kind of gems that we can find. Well, that was very successful. I was able to find a handful of things, a couple of things for my kids, and then we went into the library and checked out way too many books. So I will share what I found with you when I get home. So I actually ended up finding quite a few fun things. I'm going to, I think, group these by like category as far as age range, because I found one YA, a few middle grade, and then obviously some adult as well. But the first adult one that I picked up is this hard copy edition of The Story of Edgar Sawtelle. And this was an Oprah Book Club pick a few years ago. And I've heard some about this, enough to where it made me interested to want to pick it up. But this follows a little boy, Edgar, who is born mute, and he uses only sign language to communicate, and he's kind of secluded on a farm, and some things happen. It just kind of follows tragedy, and I think there might be some sexual abuse maybe that happens, things like that. So it's a pretty thick book, but I thought it was interesting, so figured I'd pick it up. All right. Next, I found this one. This is in really good condition, but I've never heard of this book before. It is called Never Let Me Go, and it's by Kazuo Ishiguro, maybe? I'm not sure. So, and it says that Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy were students at Hailsham, an exclusive boarding school in the secluded English countryside. And now years later, they're looking back on their past to see what makes them so special and how that gift will shape the rest of their life, of their time together. Suspenseful, moving, beautiful, atmospheric. So, but it's in really good condition, and it was like 25 cents. So I went ahead and picked it up. I don't know. If you've heard of this before, let me know. I might have to do a little bit more research on Goodreads to see if I'll keep it or not, but it seemed like a good deal, so I went ahead and grabbed it. After that, I grabbed City of Glory by Beverly Swerling, and did not realize that this is actually a sequel to another book, but the front of it said A Novel of War and Desire in Old Manhattan, and that sounded really interesting to me. And so it's just kind of set in, it has a really fun map in the beginning of it, of Old Manhattan, and yeah, so like 1787 time frame, and that time frame sounded really fun, so I thought I'd check it out. But I'm gonna have to do a little bit of digging and see if I need to read the first one before I can read this, but this just seemed kind of right up my alley, so I went ahead and grabbed it. All right, then I grabbed The Forgotten Seamstress. This is by Liz Trenau. Now, I read earlier this year The Gown. I can't remember who wrote it, but I read that, and this seems to have a very similar premise to it. It's a girl that works in a sewing room in the royal household before World War I, and she kind of catches the eye of the Prince of Wales, and then decades later, a descendant of hers finds a quilt in her mother's attic, and she wants to figure out the meaning of the message embroidered in its lining. So very similar to The Gown, but I loved The Gown, so hence why I purchased this, because this sounds just like a fun historical fiction, not super heavy wartime historical fiction, but just something maybe that might be interesting. So I grabbed that one. All right. After that, I grabbed The Rosie Project This is by Graham Simpson. I have heard quite a bit about this. This is about Don Tillman, who is very socially inept, and so he kind of puts together a questionnaire to filter out prospective wives. His questionnaire filters out the drinkers, the smokers, the vegans, the late arrivers, yada yada. And through that, he meets Rosie Jarman, who does not fit within his criteria, but he's still drawn to her, and just kind of what happens. So this I've heard about. It's been on my TBR for a while, and I found it, and it's in pretty perfect condition, so I grabbed it and figured we'll give it a shot. All right, then I think that is all of the adult books that I have. I found one YA book, and this is a library discard, so I'm going to have to take off the plastic sleeve and everything. But this is Never Ever by Sarah Saidi, maybe? Sorry about that glare. So this is a Peter Pan retelling, though. And so that's kind of what caught my eye on this one. I love Peter Pan, and this is a YA retelling of it. Pretty basic, just retelling. So I thought that sounded fun. Grab that. All right. Oh, I missed one of my adult books. I grabbed The Midwives by Chris Bohjalian. This is kind of on an icy winter night. A midwife thinks that this lady has had a stroke and died, and performs an emergency cesarean and saves the baby. But was the woman actually really dead before the cesarean? And kind of the fallout from all of that. And so this is another one that I've never heard of before, but thought that the premise sounded interesting. I'm going to have to dig a little bit more into it and find out a little bit more about whether it's worth reading. But grabbed it because it intrigued me. All right, now we're on to all of the middle grade books that I found. So the first thing that I grabbed was the audio CDs of Fudgemania by Judy Blume. All of my kids listen to audio books when they're falling asleep at night. They all have CD players in their rooms because they do not have phones, and yeah, it's just easier that way. So we check out CDs from the library, and they listen to audiobooks every night before they go to bed. And the Fudge series by Judy Blume is some of their favorite ones to listen to. And so this was at the sale for like 50 cents or something. And so I went ahead and grabbed it. That way, when we are going on vacation and things like that, we have a backup. Or if they're done with the book they have checked out and I'm not getting back to the library real soon, they have something to listen to at least. Then I grabbed Cartwheeling in Thunderstorms by Katherine Rundell. Yeah. This is another library discard, so I'm going to have to kind of spiffy it up a little bit. But this is about a little girl who lives in Africa, in a village in Africa, and then she moves to England. And so it's kind of about her transition between living in the jungle and then moving to a boarding school in England. And the thing in the synopsis that kind of pulled me in is it says, Katherine Rundell has written an astonishing novel about embracing what makes you different and finding friendship in unexpected places. And that sounds just like something I would enjoy reading. So grab that. I then grabbed another library discard, The Red Pencil. I'll have to take this off. I grabbed this because, okay, a little bit of a tangent here. I live in Minnesota, and in Minnesota, every year they have a Maud Hart Lovelace Award that they give out statewide or whatever. Maud Hart Lovelace is the author of the Betsy Tacy series, which I had never heard of before this year when I joined the Betsy Tacy read-along. And after I joined the read-along, I went to my library and saw that they had all the books set out for the Maud Hart Lovelace Award. And so I just kind of thought that that was a fun little thing. But this was a 2017-2018 Maud Hart Lovelace nominee. It's called The Red Pencil. It's by Andrea Davis Pinkney. I have no idea. But this is written in verse, and this is by or about a Sudanese refugee. This little girl lives in a village who is attacked by the militia, and then she's transported to a refugee camp, and she really wants to get an education, but amongst the Sudanese, girls don't get an education. And so she finds hope when somebody gives her a red pencil, and that's kind of her hope that she will be able to get an education and all of that. So, like I said, it's written in verse. There are illustrations in it too. But I'm excited to read this. I think it'll be really interesting, very diverse, different to read. So, yeah. So, got that. Then I grabbed Ship of Dolls, and this is by Shirley Parenteau. We're gonna go with that, Parenteau. And this is set in San Francisco. Well, the girl lives in Portland, Oregon, but her parents, I think, are in San Francisco, and she wants to be with her parents, and so she enters a contest in her school. They're going to ship dolls to Japan, I think it is. Yeah. In 1926. So it is a historical novel inspired by a little-known true event, a friendship doll exchange organized in 1926 by teacher missionary Dr. Sidney Gulick, in which American children sent more than 12,000 dolls to Japan in hopes of avoiding a future war. So it's based off of true events, historical fiction, but a very different, obscure historical fiction, which I really enjoy reading about, very little known events, and it's middle grade. So that sounded fun. Went ahead and grabbed that. Okay. After that, let's see. I got Gregor the Overlander. This is fairly well known. This is by Suzanne Collins, who also wrote The Hunger Games. But this is Gregor follows his sister through a grate in the laundry room of their apartment and falls down into the Underland. And the conflict that's down there. It's a fantasy middle grade book. I tried reading this a long time ago via audiobook or by audiobook, and ended up DNFing it just because I have no idea why. But I've heard really good things about this series, so I wanted to go ahead and give it another shot, and it was a quarter, so why not? And then the last two are classics, very well known. I have Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers and The Little House on the Prairie by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and these are both in not the best condition, but I'm a sucker for old books. I really love old books, and so I'm more wanted these just to put on my shelves because I think that they look really cool being aged and older, and I don't own them, so I thought that that would be fun as potential reads for me to read out loud to my kids someday. So those are all of the books that I got at the library sale. All of this plus about 6 or 7 books for my little kids, like picture books and things like that, was $10. Not a bad $10 spent if you ask me. So we're gonna go with it. I hope that you enjoyed this haul, and if you've read any of these, especially the ones that I've never heard of before, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to get your feedback on them. Even the ones that I have heard of, if there's any of your favorites in here that you think I should read right away, or any that you think I should avoid, please comment down below. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe, and until next time, see ya!